Lawmakers are pushing Netflix and Paramount to preserve Hollywood jobs in the Warner Brothers sale. We're going to talk a little bit about that hearing that Netflix executives went to meet senators, including Ted Cruz, and it just was kind of a, I'm going to be honest, it was kind of a shit show to watch. Every time I watch these things, it's like, oh my God, it's like boomer on boomer action, right? Nobody wants to pay to see that. But we're going to talk about this because I don't care who buys Warner Brothers. There are going to be some changes and there are going to be some layoffs, and they can say they're not going to do it. They can promise a theatrical window. And apparently they bring up Superman, I guess, in this too, that Superman only had like a 35-day window and it's based on performance. But yeah, they're lying. If they said they're going to keep things the same, they're absolutely lying, especially I think Netflix, because, theatrical is not their business model. Broadcast television is not their business model. They're a streaming company and they just want that IP, right? That sweet, sweet IP to lock it down and paywall it. That's what they want. So let's talk about this before we get into it any further. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, hey, we launched stealthily last night. We did launch the reoffer for Crimson Wren Volume 1 hardcovers. Check it out. These versions are printed in the USA. We got some new stuff here. For those of you who actually bought the book before, we're going to have some new stuff, pins, stickers. We're going to have some new prints. We've got, let's see here. We've got D20 trading cards. It's going to be pretty interesting stuff, and you can pick up some other stuff that maybe you've missed. Check it out on Kickstarter. Very limited window, but yeah, then we're going to move on to finishing up some things this year and then moving on to a bunch of new things. We have a bunch of projects in the works. So check it out on Kickstarter. Maybe Hollywood should just kickstart everything. And that's how we figure out what people actually want, right? We just go to Kickstarter. This is coming from Variety. Lawmakers are pushing Netflix and Paramount to preserve Hollywood jobs in Warner Brothers sale. This is so weird to see, though, because it's mostly like Republicans, right? And they're kind of like, a lot of Republicans now are just like, yeah, fuck Hollywood. And now they're like, but, we need those jobs too. So it's like, pick a lane. We're also going to talk about briefly that they were kind of screaming at Netflix about all the LGBTQIA plus stuff in their cartoons. And yeah, it was, like I said, it was a very interesting watch. But Adam Schiff and Laura Friedman are seeking assurances from Netflix and Paramount Skydance that they will protect Hollywood jobs if allowed to acquire Warner Brothers. They're going to tell you whatever they need to tell you to get the deal through, and then they're going to stick the knife in. That's just how corporations work. I'm sorry. They're going to say, hey, yeah, sure, we're going to keep every. Sure we are. Same with Fox. Remember Fox? Oh, yeah, everything's going to be fine at Fox. And Disney just disemboweled Fox and canceled a bunch of movies. Yeah, anything to get the deal through. In a letter to the heads of both companies, okay, so these are the Democratic lawmakers, cited a dramatic decline in domestic production and noted with alarm that both companies have pledged to cut billions in costs as part of a potential merger. We've continued to watch as these jobs and many companies have left the U.S. altogether for foreign venues abroad. Yeah, because it's cheaper. We expect and look forward to your company's public commitments to protecting, growing, and reassuring the hundreds of thousands of industry workers and their families in your respective bids. They're not going to. I don't think they're going to. And like I said, they're going to be very, they're going to play fast and loose with the verbiage on this. And they're going to be like, yeah, hey, yeah, we're committed to a theatrical window, but they're not going to say exactly how long. I think Paramount, I'm going to be honest, people in Hollywood, Democrats in Hollywood don't like the Ellisons, but Paramount is probably your best bet to keep the status quo as uninterrupted as possible. I think when Netflix comes in, they're gonna take the knife to Warner Brothers big time, because again, it doesn't make sense with their business model. The letter follows a Senate antitrust hearing on Tuesday at which Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos promised to increase domestic production levels, focusing particularly in a new studio in New Jersey. Both Schiff and Friedman hail from the San Fernando Valley District, where much of the industry's below-the-line workers reside. The letter seeks commitment specifically to L.A., which has seen a sharp downturn in production since 2022. It's expensive, it's very unionized, and the streets are full of shit. There's rampant crime. That could factor into it. I mean, it's not just Warner Brothers or Paramount or Netflix, everybody's moving out of the state. They're moving to Nevada. They're moving to Florida. They're moving to Texas because California, and this is coming from a guy who spent a good chunk of his life in California, it's turned into an absolute shithole, right? It's not a good place to do business when you're locking down basic everyday needs behind glass because people are going to steal it. You know, it's bad, right? Like you can't even go. I've seen pictures of some of the stores where literally everything is behind glass now because people are going to steal it. How will your company ensure that Hollywood and California remain central to your production and investment strategy? They won't. What concrete steps will you take to preserve and expand good-paying film and television jobs in L.A.? In L.A. No comment. Schiff and Friedman also know they're working on bipartisan legislation to create a federal film incentive, which would augment state-based tax credits. Yeah, that was actually something I think Trump was pushing for, and they didn't like that either because it was coming from him. So they wrote that bill yet to be introduced, which will be modeled after successful state programs in California, Louisiana, Georgia, and others, so the U.S. can remain competitive in the global market. They invited Sarandos and Ellison, CEO of Paramount Skydance, to offer their support for such a measure and explain how it would keep the production jobs in the U.S. Again, I think Paramount is your best bet. I think the Ellisons will not rock the boat as hard. They do release films theatrically, but Netflix they're gonna gut Warner Brothers. They are. It's 100%. It's not part of their business model. I'm telling you. You know, they're going to say what they have to say to get their hands on freaking Batman because that's what they want. And then they'll turn, Batman into like a black lesbian in a wheelchair or something. Or would that be Oracle? I don't know. But yeah, so that's what they want, man. That's what they want. And all these idiots in the comic book industry, too. I'm not saying everybody in the comic book industry is an idiot, but there are a lot of people that are just like, it's going to be so good when Netflix buys Warner Brothers. That means they're going to throw money at DC Comics monthly comic books. Hell no. They are not going to do that. Oh, my God. Have you learned nothing from Disney and Marvel, right? Have you learned... Anyway, the letter seeks commitments from the studios that will continue to employ labor unions. They're going to employ the unions and will use AI in a way that does not displace workers. Well, then you're not going to use it at all, I guess, because even if you use it as a tool, the grunts are going to get gone. Netflix has agreed to buy Warner Brothers for $83 billion. Paramount has pursued a hostile bid, which has been repeatedly rebuffed for all of Warner Brothers. I don't know if Paramount's still in it, are they? I know that David Ellison is out there trying to wheel and deal, but I don't know if they're still in it. And then I think Trump said he's staying out of it. I don't know because I know from past comments that he wants the Ellisons to have it. He wants Paramount to have it because he wants them to shut down CNN or reorient CNN, I think, or put CNN under Barry Weiss or something. That's what I think he wants. So yeah, this is kind of weird. I watched this interaction where they were grilling Ted Sarandos on why the cartoons are so gay on Netflix. Like, this is look, yeah, there are a lot of gay cartoons on Netflix, right? And also Nickelodeon and also Disney Channel, whatever. It's very interesting to see people get outraged about it now, like 6 or 7 years after we had peak LGBTQ and kids cartoons, and after most of these shows have already been canceled. Now they're getting upset about it. But I have to wonder, is this part of the reason that they're just not greenlighting this stuff anymore? Because they're like, oh yeah, we're not going to get deals through because, Republicans are going to be mad about it. I have no idea. But this was last fall. Elon Musk was made aware. No, it was last spring. God, I don't know what year I'm on here. So yeah, it was March of 2025. Elon Musk, via X, discovered that gay cartoons on Netflix existed. And I remember, and people got so pissed off at me. They got so pissed off at me because I was on X and I was just like, why are you only learning this now? Like, this is common knowledge to anybody that pays attention. I mean, for all this talk of a culture war, like anybody that's been paying attention knows this has been going on for years. And I had people getting so pissed at me because I was like, oh, seriously? Like, you guys are going to get upset now? Most of these shows have been canceled because nobody freaking watched them. But anyway, there it is. But yeah, we actually had a senator grilling Ted Sarandos on it. Cartoon Brews got it. Ted Sarandos, Netflix's co-CEO, testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee's Antitrust Subcommittee to defend the company's proposed acquisition of Warner Brothers. And that's how it started. They said the price is north of $80 billion. Lawmakers made it clear they were not inclined to wave it through without some intense scrutiny. At least that's how it started. At the core of the hearing was a familiar question. Would combining Netflix with one of its biggest competitors reduce choice, raise prices, and squeeze creators and workers in an already consolidated industry? Yes, it would. Would the deal break antitrust laws? I don't know if it would, to be honest. Republicans and Democrats alike pressed Sarandos on whether the deal would shrink the market rather than expand it. Sarandos stuck to his prepared message, one he's been repeating for several months. This deal is pro-consumer, pro-innovation, pro-worker, and pro-creator. Bullshit. I mean, look, I don't have anything personally against Netflix or Ted Sarandos. I'm just saying, you're gobbling up one of the biggest studios in Hollywood, and Amazon gobbled up MGM, and Disney gobbled up Fox, and yeah, it's gonna be like publishing, like mainstream publishing, where there's only like 3 studios, and that's where all your mainstream content comes from, and they also happen to provide streaming services too, and so that's what I'm saying, and it's just like the big 3 networks all over again, and that's what's going to happen here. And Netflix used to allow for content that was outside of the system, and now they have become the system. So that line of questioning was repeatedly interrupted by different performative concerns. Several Republican senators, most notably, it was Josh Hawley, used their time to question Netflix about its programming choices, arguing that the platform is woke, especially its children's shows that include LGBTQ characters or themes. Hawley accused the company of pushing ideology, apparently identity as an ideology now, onto young viewers, and cited what he claimed were internal metrics showing a heavy emphasis on trans topics in kids programming. Yeah, so look, that is going to be a concern to a lot of parents. And I think, look, my personal opinion is we had an era where a lot of stuff was being pushed, but I think parents rejected it, or just audiences rejected it because a lot of it did not stick. Right. And again, if you want to put those themes, I do remember watching a clip, and he was like, if it's, we're not talking content for teenagers, we're talking content for little kids like 7 or under. And that's true. I mean, I was shocked to find out that they had trans berries in the Strawberry Shortcake reboot. I was like, what the hell? But whatever. And nobody watched it. When you see Strawberry Shortcake, you go to the store, you go to like Five Below, and it's like Five Below is the Strawberry Shortcake store now. I swear to God, Geeky loves it. But none of it is new Strawberry Shortcake. It's all vintage Strawberry Shortcake. It's not even like the 90s or 2000 shortcake. It's all vintage Strawberry Shortcake, right? Because that's what actually sells. And it's kind of like Shira too, the Netflix Shira. That thing is going to be yanked off the air, and Mattel will probably never mention it again because it was divisive. And most importantly, its cardinal sin is it did not sell toys because the target audience were not children, right? Now, I would be more concerned if they're going to grill people about Blue's Clues, because Blue's Clues and some other like very, very young shows had stuff in it that probably shouldn't have been in it. It was like that would be more concerning to me. But yeah, it's very weird to see all that in kid shows. And that was a big conversation like a year ago, but I don't know how it's going to go down. I have no idea. I think ultimately Netflix is probably going to get it. I just think it's going to be a bad deal for everybody. I really do. And if you're all cheering it right now, I don't think I think Hollywood knows. Like, everybody wanted to get a Netflix deal, but I think they know now, like, here comes Netflix the destroyer, right? And that's what's probably going to happen. And the next thing that's probably going to happen, I've heard from multiple people who have heard that there are talks going on between Disney and Apple. I don't know if that's, it probably depends on how this goes. But all these tech companies are going to gobble up Hollywood, and there are going to be a lot fewer jobs. And so a lot of these people need to watch their damn mouths, not shoot their mouths off, and play nice if they want to keep working in the industry. That's my personal opinion. But we'll see what happens. I said, Cartoon Brew said by the end of the hearing, legit antitrust questions had largely been drowned out by culture war theatrics. Well, I mean, it is kind of a concern, I think, for a lot of people. the content that's going to be produced is all going to come from one side of the aisle. And that has been something that's been ongoing for the last couple of years. And, and if Netflix gets, look, Netflix is a meme at this point, right? I mean, what they do to historical dramas and all, it's a meme. So yeah, people are going to be concerned, but you know what? It could go very badly for them, and consumers could just reject it and be like, you know what? I'm done. I'm out. I'm not buying this. Actually, I think what's going on is everybody's so checked out from the culture war. I think the culture war is actually pushing people to watch old stuff again because they're tired of it all the way around. That is my personal opinion. That is what I think is actually going on. People want to go back to a time where there wasn't a culture war. We didn't have to have these conversations. You just watched it or you didn't watch it. You played the game, you didn't play it. You bought the comic, you didn't buy the comic, whatever. And, and that was that. And I think that's a big part of it. So maybe Netflix will be a huge boom for physical media. Maybe people will just go buy more DVDs. Netflix buys everything and people hate the content. Who knows? But yeah, Hollywood's kind of freaking out. And they should. They should. I'm going to wrap it up. Again, check out the Crimson Wren reoffer out on Kickstarter for a limited time. We'll talk later.